Hi guys, Tyler here. I want to speak this morning about seeing the one that you can't see. Um, so I want to talk about seeing the Lord. Obviously, we can't see Jesus with our physical eyes. I guess you could see Jesus with your physical eyes if you wanted you to. But I want to talk about something in the Christian life that is even more powerful than seeing a vision of Jesus, because the normal Christian life should be a life where you are knowing the Lord. So right now, I just did it. I can see the Lord. I'm seeing Jesus right now as I'm talking. But I'm not saying that like right now I'm seeing the face of a Jewish man with a nice fluffy brown beard and a white robe and he's got a sash on. And I'm having a picture in my mind of the Lord. Or I'm having this open vision where Jesus is standing in front of me. I think, it'd be really cool to see Jesus, obviously. Well, it'd be really cool to see Jesus standing right in front of you. Of course, that would be really cool, Tyler. But there is something that God has opened up to the Christian that is more powerful than seeing visions of God talking to you. It'd be totally awesome. In the Bible, there are people where God stood in front of them and spoke with them. John in the book of Revelation, he has a vision of Jesus in heaven in his glory. And Jesus has like white as snow hair and he's wearing this white robe. And John says his upper body was on fire and his lower body was like liquid metal. It's hard to even imagine. And he said he was so overcome by the experience that he fell to the ground as if he was dead. And then Jesus touched him and gave strength to his body so he could stand being in his presence, And you kind of hear that and you're like, whoa, like bet that had an effect on his life, And there's another story that I'm sure almost every Christian would know, where Moses went up to the top of the mountain of God and the Lord appeared to him and he spoke face to face with the Lord. And it was so powerful that literally when Moses came down the mountain, he was glowing. He was radiating light and glory and people were running away from him. They're like, he's an alien. Like, what is going on with that guy? He's a light bulb. So obviously that was a pretty powerful experience. But I have to tell you, and this is not an exaggeration, I'm not trying to sell something. I don't need to sell something because this is true, that the true Christian experience is more powerful than radiating like a light bulb because you spoke to God face to face. Because the true Christian experience, you're not on the outside looking at a God that is talking to you face to face. It's better than that. You are literally inside the Lord. So it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, who knows the mind of a man's thoughts except for his own spirit inside of him? And it's the same way with God, that God's spirit is the only one that knows his thoughts. But God has given us his spirit so we know the thoughts of the Lord. So do you see that when we come to know the Lord, it's better than talking to him face to face? He literally, by his spirit, comes and lives inside of us so that we are knowing the Lord from the inside. It's sort of like we've possessed the Lord. Like we have come into his body and we are literally knowing his thoughts as he is having them. So, how do you say this? So this is like, this is good. So have you ever, so I've run summer camps. I have two daughters myself, and I've noticed, spending a lot of time with kids, that if you get two girls that are total besties, right? They're best friends, and they spend a lot of time together, chatting away. They get to this point where it's like they're channeling each other's thoughts. And like they'll be completing each other's sentences, right? It's like one little girl will start saying something, and they'll stop saying what they're saying. I wonder if you've experienced this, and they'll just start cracking up, right? And they didn't finish the sentence, and you're kind of like very aware of, and they kind of want you to be aware of the fact that you are on the outside of this conversation and they're on the inside. Why? Because they just know what each other is thinking, right? So they'll start saying it, and they'll both know what they're saying, and they'll be like, oh, I know what you're saying, right? And it's because they are in each other's heads. Now, they're not literally inside of each other, knowing each other's thoughts, but there's this energy between them where they really are in tune with each other and know each other's thoughts, right? Another way of talking about it or looking at it is a married couple, right? A close, healthy marriage. A married couple, they're spiritually united and they are one. And if it's a healthy marriage, they're also in each other's heads and in each other's hearts, right? So, like for instance, I'll come home from work at the end of a day, and I'll find my wife, find Audrey, and I'll give her a hug. And I often find that when I hug her, I know how her day went. Like I can feel without a word, I'm holding her. And I feel, oh, like she is really excited, or oh, like we have 5 kids and it's been a long day, like a little bit tiring, right? And the reason why I can know her heart and what's going on with her without saying a word is because, like, spiritually we are connected, right? And also it's like time spent together. I am familiar with what this mood feels like. And it's more than a mood. It's like I know what's coming off of her, and so I know where she's at, right? Well, with Jesus, it goes a step further than that, because like the way that we know the Lord is we are literally inside of him, and he is literally inside of us. And so all we have to do to know the Lord's thoughts, or to see the Lord, to hear the Lord, is just to turn to him inside of us, and he opens up to us what is going on in his head. So, although you could have a vision of the Lord where you are, like John, like you see him in heaven and he's on fire and he's talking to you and you're like, ah, right? That would be really cool, but that ends, right? Like the hard part for Moses of going up on the mountain and talking to the Lord is that then he had to come back down the mountain again. And the light and the glory that was radiating off of him, that light bulb would start dimming because he wasn't with the Lord in the same way when he came down the mountain. The life that we have with Jesus is so intimate. It's so beautiful and ongoing. I said at the beginning of the video, I'm seeing the Lord right now. And again, right now, as soon as I turn my attention, I am knowing the Lord. And that is what the Christian life is supposed to be. That's what it's all about, is an intimate knowing of each other, spirit to spirit. So what does it really mean to see the Lord? Is the most profound experience that you can have as a Christian having a vision like John in heaven of Jesus? Or is it Moses being on the mountain and talking with God, having a conversation with him where he's out there and you're over here and he's telling you, like, these are the laws that I want my people to obey? I want to say that there's something so much better than that. I would happily give up talking. I'd much rather be me than be Moses. And you might say, like, well, who are you to say that, you think that your life's better than the prophet of Israel? Yeah, definitely. Way better. And the Bible says that the covenant that we have with the Lord so surpasses the old covenant. Why? Because I am not in a on again, off again conversation with the Lord. I literally am interwoven into Jesus himself. Like he is inside of me. His thoughts, he's making his thoughts known to me in real time. This is what it's like. It's like I'm having Jesus's thoughts as he's having them. I think that's right. Like he is thinking something and I'm like, it's like the two little girls where he's starting a sentence and I'm finishing it because I know where he's going with it. Do you see how profound that is? And do you see how beautiful it is that we are in the Lord? So when I say the title of the video is seeing the one that you can't see, right? I'm seeing the Lord, but I'm not seeing him from outside where he's over here and he's over there and I'm over here. I'm seeing Jesus from the inside. It's like this. Like right now, I'm knowing myself. I'm not the mirror. I'm not the person out here looking at me. You're knowing me in one way right now, and you're like, what is this, goofy guy talking about? You're looking at me. But from my perspective, thankfully I can't see myself, but I'm on the inside of me knowing what it's like. Oh my gosh, knowing what it's like. I wasn't saying, oh my gosh, it's so great to know me. I'm thinking of where I'm going with this. Sorry. It's like that for Christians. It's so profound. I am knowing what it's like to be Jesus on the inside of Jesus. I am living inside of the Lord. Because I'm a spirit inside of the Spirit. So if God's Spirit, let's say, lived inside of Jesus's body, and it says in the Bible, who knows a man's thoughts except for the Spirit inside of him? I'm in that Spirit that's inside of Jesus, knowing his thoughts. Wow, right? So the Christian life is about living inside of God, where you are living in real time the experience of knowing the Lord and knowing what he's knowing. Like the Lord has a thought, he has a feeling about something, and I'm feeling it with him because I am in him. And that is so much better than Moses. Imagine Moses on the mountain. He's standing in front of what I guess it was like a ball of fire, and the Lord is speaking out of the fire like, Moses, here are the 10 commandments. And Moses, it says that he was trembling with fear because he's on the outside. Like, what's the ball of fire God gonna do to me? Or how is this gonna go, right? But see, for a Christian, this is gonna maybe sound crazy, but think about it. This is true. You are more like you're more like the one that's inside of the fire, speaking to the man who's being changed by the fire. You're more like the fire than you are the one that's glowing because they're standing in front of the fire. Because you're in the fire. You are, in the Lord, you're looking out at the one that's being transformed. by the experience, than you are the one that's out there, because you're not out there. Now, we are being transformed, obviously, but we're being transformed from within. So Moses was being affected by the God that was on the outside, like talking to him, right? And shining on him, right? But we are on the inside. And that's why that when we know the Spirit, it's affecting us from the inside. Because I just had a thought, but it wasn't my thought. It's the Lord thinking inside of me, and his thoughts are coming out of me. So that's why a Christian is not changed. They don't change their behavior. They are literally changed from within, because there's thoughts being generated inside of them from the Lord. The Lord is thinking in me, in my head. The Lord is thinking in me. Sounds kind of weird, but I am having emotions that are not my emotions. They're literally like coming out of the one that lives inside of me. So knowing the Lord, seeing him, hearing the Lord, all of these things are happening from inside of us. And we are knowing him, we are seeing him the way that he is knowing and seeing himself. It's from the inside. So again, I'm getting repetitive now, but maybe it's helpful to say it more than once. It's not a visual thing. It's not seeing someone like you see someone that's on the outside of you. It's seeing someone like you see yourself. Think about yourself. Like, I'm Tyler. I can know what it's like to be inside of my own head. I see my thoughts. I see my feelings. I see what it's like to be me. That is how we know God. We know him as he knows himself. We know his feelings by experiencing them as they happen. We know his reaction to things because we're in him and he's reacting. So the Christian experience of knowing the Lord, of seeing the Lord, is so intimate. It's so in real time. It's so amazing and so profound. And I want to make people more aware of what the Christian life is supposed to be like, so that I hope you're either already in that and you're like way ahead of you, Tyler, or you're like, holy moly, is that true? That is amazing. That sounds incredible. And I hope that, if that's like a really exciting thought to you, that you will pursue it. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience that if you turn to the Lord and ask him to show you if this is real, he's going to open it up to you. You're going to, and I think when the Lord opens this, what I'm saying, up to a Christian, what's going to happen, I think your experience is going to be, holy moly, this is already going on in my life. I just haven't been paying attention to it. And it's incredible. And it's just going to awaken a hunger in you to get more into that place, more living in a greater awareness of the amazing reality that we live in. Like, I know what you're thinking. I feel what you're feeling about this situation. Wow, it's so much better than what I was thinking about this situation. What you feel about it is so much more beautiful and so much more powerful than my knee-jerk reaction. See, the more we realize that we have access to live inside of God, the less we have to live inside of ourselves, which is, I think, probably a good thing. Even if you're a great guy or a great gal, what's going on with God in situations is probably better than what's going on in the best of us. So, okay, so that's enough about this. I just could talk about it because I want to experience it. And when I talk about it, my mind turns to it. And then I'm just living more in the awareness of this amazing reality that we have as Christians. So tell me, if I would love it if people would respond in these talks, like with thoughts that strike them or questions they have, because I want to talk more about these things and I want to help open them up to you guys, because I feel I'm called to that. So I don't know. Write comments. Let's talk more about it. Tell me other things that you're curious about, and we'll keep going, I hope. So God bless you guys.